I had one mother in particular, and I'll share this because it's the experience that's coming to me. She was a triple VBAC, which means she had 3 cesarean sections prior. She's about to give birth to her 4th baby. She has 3 kids to take care of now. She can't recover for the next 6 weeks in surgery or post surgery, sorry. So she's like, I cannot go through this major abdominal surgery again. My midwife says and now my midwife says I'm 44 weeks. The scans say I'm 44 weeks. And if my midwife comes today and she says, if I don't go into labor today, I must go to the hospital. So you're talking like within the medical structure, that's like one of the most high risk scenarios you can have. Triple VBAC, they don't even want to do single VBAC. And also they're claiming that she's 44 weeks, which is highly unlikely.
Can you share for the audience member that doesn't know what a VBAC is?
Oh, yes. It's a vaginal birth after a cesarean section.
Got it.
Yeah. So the VBAC is supposedly, through the medical lens, dangerous because the scar of the incision has a possibility of rupturing. So triple VBAC, cesarean must happen today. A lot of women have heard this story. There's a rush, there's a pressure, there's a time frame, there's stress. So they asked if I would go and see her and do some energy work to get this labor going because nothing's working. And for anyone listening, there is no such thing as natural induction. Okay. Babies come when they're ready, and anything that we do to interfere with that process is not natural. So I, of course, said, well, I'd be honored to sit with this fully blossomed pregnant mama. I mean, if she wants to have me in her home. So that's where it started. And I ended up going over. She welcomed me in. All I did was sit on the couch with her and just, hey, sister, how you doing? And she said, oh, actually, I'm actually doing really good. But I'm beginning to think that I should be worried because everyone around me is worried. And so literally, this is an example of the mother is open and she's porous and she's taking in all the stress from other people that does not belong to her. So I just listened to her. Also for any birth keepers out there, if you serve women and families in birth, you must be coherent with your own birth experiences. Otherwise, it's not possible for you to not project that story, mostly unconsciously, into the people that you work with. So, we must leave our stuff at the door, walk in, clear. And so she said, well, the midwife, when she arrives, she's going to tell me I must go to the hospital and have this baby today. All I said, Josh, and this is one example, there's so many examples like this. All I said was, well, you can pass. So the midwife came. She really was like, I was there for it. I couldn't believe it. It went up in a tiff when this woman said, I'm going to pass. I just can't do it. That evening, she went into labor. I ended up being there for the labor. After she birthed, peacefully breathed her baby out in water, helped her get up onto the bed. I quietly walked into the bathroom at some point, and I heard her say, as I was walking into the bathroom, she was in this state of complete euphoria. And she was just, mamas are they're just speaking at that point. And she said, all I remember is Victoria saying, I have the right to pass. That was it. And, that's powerful. That baby was born covered in vernix, which means they'd be lucky to be 39 weeks, actually. The vernix, this white covering that babies are born in, is very essential to their immunity, and it's sloughed off in the last week of pregnancy. So if your baby's born covered in vernix, they came a little early, yeah? And if they have none at all, then, you know that they probably stayed in longer. So it's very important for us to just wake up to the fact that there is no medical technology that we have that can accurately gauge things like weight and size of your baby. There's no medical technology that we have that can accurately gauge gestation age. And the way in which they're doing it automatically sets up it to be at least 2 to 3 weeks off, which is one of the reasons why infant mortality is so high in the US, because cesareans are being scheduled at 37, 39 weeks, and babies are being born more at 33, 34 weeks, and they are not able to thrive. So yeah, this is basic education that we need to get up to par with.
Wow, there's so much there. I the whole time you were talking, I almost cried a few times because I was thinking about everything that we've been through, Carrie, Michelle, and I, and just how traumatic it was with Nova. And I can go back to these memories that'll be there for my whole life. I mean, I'll probably be like 90 something years old and I'll remember exactly how this feels, what I'm about to tell you. We went into this in the best way that we could, but we brought our own projections and traumas and our own birth experience into it, right? And that definitely flavored and colored the experience that sent us to the NICU for 10 days. And I will never forget, I actually had to go through my own healing in the most massive sleep deprivation I've ever been in my life. 10 days in the NICU is traumatic. 10 days in the NICU trying to fight doctors, trying to get policies removed, signing forms so that Child Protective Services came to our door the next day and knocked on our door. This huge football player with tattoos on his arms taking photos of our house. I mean, it is such a mechanistic system that we were in, but I had to see the belly of the beast to know what it was like on the outside, to know what this conversation actually is meaningful for. Because I had to go into the system itself and see it from the inside and know what it's like to reach out to you for support, to reach out to Alex and Sarah, to reach out to Dr. Nathan Riley, and just have all these people helping to guide myself and helping to support Carrie. Like, I would not wish that experience on anyone, but I'm really grateful that it transpired because the second birth with Naya was so beautiful. It was so luminous, since we're talking about luminosity and luminous birth. But you know what the core difference was? The core difference was I was completely at peace with whatever was going to happen on birth number 2. On birth number 1, I had fears, I had worries, I had all these things that I was working through. Come to know now, looking back, it was my own trauma, my own stuff, my own projections. And it all happened divinely. It all happened perfectly. Would I wish it upon someone else or some other family? No, I would not. Is part of this conversation and this podcast helping to shine light that doesn't have to be the way? Of course it does. But the beauty and the power that I saw Carrie, Michelle embody, like truly embody in this birth, it was because I was out of the way. It was because I was just trusting from the other room, holding my son. And when Naya was born, it was like I had this out of body experience, much like you talked about with the car accident, where I was floating above the water pool and we were at 9,000 feet, Victoria, in Coal Creek, Colorado, outside of Golden, Colorado. And I was watching myself watch her birth Naya. I actually left my body and I saw everything for what it was. And I realized, wow, there is ultimate peace and ultimate power in that space. When I get out of the way, in other words, when my projections, my fears, and my own birth story and my own just life crunchiness removes itself from the space of birth, then whatever story is divinely unfolding in that space, it's going to happen without anything from me other than me just loving it and holding it and cherishing it. And that in its own right was birthed through my own life experience. I don't know that it needed to happen any other way than it did.
Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Click the link if you want to watch the full episode, and I will see you in the next video.